Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So happy Friday. What is going on with crypto today? Well, let's talk about this critical test that Bitcoin faces and this target. Where is it heading to? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything else that's going on today. All right. Let's do this. Welcome, guys. Like I said, happy Friday. Market bell has just rung. Bitcoin is starting out over $60,000, 60,300, a little bit less than last night. That's okay. Overall, you can see we are making that sort of V-shaped recovery back. Okay, now that we're back above 60,000, feeling a whole lot better. The next test is the 63.7, which we have broken through many times before. That is what we're looking for short term. But what about long term? And what about these tests that Bitcoin may face along the way? Well, let's see. First of all, the US market is starting out in the red today. Yesterday was very good. Today, having a little bit of retracement would be okay. But Asia ended really positive today, right? Europe, kind of mixed. So you know what? We can see a good flip around. I mean, all this talk about recession, it's still there, but it just feels less impactful because markets have turned around a little bit, right? Even though we're still getting bad economic data, and not just in the US, around the world too. But with the slight recovery, it's feeling a little better. So no one's really talking about emergency rate cut anymore, or we're going to go into a full-blown recession now, right? But we still have to watch out. This is pretty good, though. The president and CEO, I don't know what CEO, the president of the Federal Reserve of Boston says that if the data is as expected, it's appropriate soon to begin easing. And what does easing mean? It means you have a rate cut, and this is what starts happening. Money starts getting printed. It's kind of interesting how money is printed. But basically, this is what's going to happen, right? Money's going to be distributed and starts flowing. And that is awesome. Absolutely awesome. And that may be coming next month, right? With the very first rate cut next month. And it's predicted that right now is still, because all this recession fears kind of dissipate a little bit. So now our chance of getting a 50 basis point cut has decreased to 56%, which is still good. And 43%, 25 basis point, there's 0% we're not going to get a cut. So that's the good thing. Starting next month, we could have a very huge rally and liquidity event with the very first rate cut, right? And in the meantime, the 10-year Treasury yield is dipping. Now, how you interpret this is, if there's a lot of fear in the market, then the 10-year yield will go up. If there's not a whole lot, it would go down. So the fact that it's coming down, again, reinforces the fact that, hey, maybe the recession fears were overblown a little bit last week, or maybe just Japan's fall caused too much fear, but now things are looking a little bit better than last week, although we're not fully recovered, and that's actually awesome. If you're a long-term holder or you're a short-term holder, it gives you more time to be loading up while things are still cheap, right? All right, so that's what's going on from a macro perspective. As for Bitcoin, right? Obviously, we had a big jump from just earlier this week or last weekend. We broke past 60,000. We jumped 26% in 3 days, which is absolutely fantastic. But like I said, we're not back to 70 yet. We still have a long ways to go, and that's good. We have more time to accumulate. As for ETF inflows, I covered this last night. We didn't have all the numbers, but it was quite explosive yesterday. BlackRock took in $157 million of the Bitcoin. Fidelity has 65. And what is this? It was like Wisdom Tree. They got 118 million for some reason. Out of nowhere. This whole, like, last 2 weeks was all like empty, and then they took in. But somehow Grayscale sold $182 million. That's one of their biggest outflows ever. And you can see the entire week and last week, 2 weeks, Grayscale basically had a massive dump of 19 billion. Yeah, 19 billion. That's crazy amount. That's crazy. Maybe that's total. Yeah, that's total. Grayscale sold 19 billion while BlackRock took in 20 billion. But anyways, yesterday we had a pretty good inflow overall, about 200 million, even with Grayscale's massive outflow. But like I've been saying, the one guy that has no outflows at all is BlackRock. Just keeps on taking in more and more and more. And people that understand and truly believe in Bitcoin, that's what they do. They buy and buy and buy, and they never sell, right? That's the name of the game. And even Larry Fink realizes that now, right? Only inflows, no outflows for BlackRock. And we're getting more. CBOE is now having, or soon will have, a Bitcoin spot ETF too. So it's not just these. Others are missing the action, right? And they want a piece of it. So even the CBOEs go get their spot Bitcoin ETF soon. So we're going to have another fund manager. And that can help contribute to the supply shock, right? Again, if they take in billions this cycle, that's billions being taken away from circulation. That would be awesome. All right, now outside of ETFs and all these institutions, what about just general retail investors? Well, Bitcoin's new addresses show renewed interest. This is kind of interesting. All right, I didn't know this, but it seems like since November of 2023, the number of new addresses have started going downwards. Doesn't mean that there's no new addresses, just the number of new addresses coming out has started going downwards. But it seems like we have hit a bottom and now we are recovering back up, right? And generally speaking, that only happens when we really see like a bottom of new addresses being released or formed. And then we see that sudden turnaround is usually when we see a resurgence in price. So, and also it means that retail investors are coming in, right? That's what we want to see. We need to see more retail investors come into this space. We don't want to see only institutions load up on Bitcoin like BlackRock. We need to see more retail investors take advantage of Bitcoin while it is still cheap. Okay. Now, here's something else. So you can see Bitcoin is back above the EMA 200, right? And this is one of those tests where during our cycles, right? During our rise to the top, we always see a lot of dips. And I've said that before, right? There's no chart on the planet that shows any asset that only goes up and never down. It's just not possible, right? There will be dips along the way, which is why I've always said, when we have these dips, even extreme ones, it's perfectly normal. We have seen Bitcoin do this in many cycles before, but even in this cycle and going back a few years, right? You see this all the time. You just forget about it. Like no one really remembers. Does anyone remember, in June we had a big dip or back in February we had a big dip or whatever, we had a big dip? No one remembers that because once you pass it, you just don't remember anymore. But here's the reality. It happens all the time. And in this case, usually when Bitcoin dips below the EMA 200 and comes right back above, it's a pretty positive thing. That means short term, we're getting ready to move higher. And in this case, what we're looking for is just simply to go back to where we were a few weeks ago, and that is around 70K, right? Because technically speaking, we're just going sideways. We have been going sideways since March, but with the rate cut coming up, with the elections coming up, right? And with just the general macro environment maybe getting better all around. And if you look at the timing of things, usually Bitcoin starts moving around September, October timeframe after the halving event every single time. I mean, the stars are kind of aligning, right? So load up while you still can. So that's a test, right? Here's another one, basically this bullish flag pattern, which shows that, yeah, we're recovering, but not quite there yet. And we need to get back up to the top of this flag, which is roughly around 67,000, 68,000, right? But once we break through, guess what happens with the flag? We then start going up once again, right? A lot of patterns, I guess. There's always a lot of patterns, but a lot of patterns that show that we're heading back upwards, and this is perfectly normal. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Every single time we get a lot of FUD. Every single cycle we get a lot of FUD, but then we go back up. Like I've been saying, if you look at the halving events and you look at when Bitcoin actually moves, it's usually like 6 months after a halving event. We have never ever broken through a previous high before a halving event. And we did so this year, this cycle, right? So if you're complaining about, well, why has Bitcoin been stuck and going sideways for so long, just know that we're already ahead of the cycle. Just look at the last cycle. Look at the last cycle. It wasn't until like September, October before we started moving up, but we didn't break through the previous high until the following year. And it's the same thing if this chart went back further in 2017, the same thing. Bitcoin didn't start moving until like November timeframe, and it took a whole lot of time before it even broke through the previous high. So this time around, we're just ahead of the game, right? If we were following previous patterns, Bitcoin should be around like 40,000 right now. And then after September, October, when we start moving, we have a chance of breaking 69,000 by the end of this year or early next year. If we were moving according to previous cycles. But no, we're not. We've been kind of spoiled because we broke through 69,000 so many times already. And that's because of the ETFs, right? People that argue, well, ETFs have no effect on Bitcoin, that's baloney. The reason why we're so ahead is because so much of the supply has been bought and removed from circulation by the institutions, by the likes of BlackRock. That's why we're ahead of the game. So even though, yes, it may seem like, oh, okay, we're coming down, it's looking bad. No, we're not. We're actually way ahead of the game versus previous cycles, right? So again, nothing has changed. And when we do finally go into that last parabolic phase of this cycle, you'll be glad that you're in the game and you've been DCing all along, because this cycle will probably bring us not only in the six figures, but way in the six figures. 200, 250, 300. This is showing we're going to $400,000 by the end of 2025. That's just next year. We're not talking about 10 years from now. We're talking about next year. And we only got 4 months left this year. So it's not too long to wait. It's not too long to wait. And the last thing I'll say about Bitcoin is, according to Plan B, we have market cycles. We have, the 4-year cycle. But if you want to look at it color coded, this is what it's looking like right now. According to Plan B, right? We're still in the red, right? This is the bull market. I've said this all along. We've been in a bull market for a long time, but we're not in the parabolic phase yet, right? That's when we truly go up in a direction where it amazes people. Like every single day you see like a 10, 15% rise and everyone's feeling good. And the FOMO really kicks in, and that's when more people come in, right? We're not quite there yet. And even when we do get in there, just know that there will be dips. Again, nothing just goes up forever. This, if you look at all red dots, a lot of these seems like, oh, it just keeps going like this forever. No, you just don't see it. If you zoom in, you'll see that there are a lot of periods where we do have major dips. And what may help us move forward soon is Tether just minted $1.3 billion since the market bottom. So that was only like 3 days ago, right? At 49,000 or something, whatever. Yeah, that was like 3 days ago or 2 days ago. So obviously, $1.3 billion is a lot of money. So obviously a lot of big whales or institutions or even retail are getting ready to load up, or they will be loading up, or they have spent already. I don't know. But that's a lot of money, right? That's coming and being injected into the overall market. So really, really good. Really good indeed. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's see. Today, let's refresh. Still in the red. But I hope that, around afternoon time frame, we start flipping up into the green. We have seen this playbook a lot. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still early. All right. Let's do some Q&A. Charles says, I remember alts pumping 20% a day after day for 10 days in a row. That's full blown. That's full blown altcoin season. I remember those days. It just, things are going so high, so fast. You can't even catch your breath because of how much money is being piled on top of you. All right. Let's see. Mike, good morning. Skinny Cow, good morning. How much GBDC is left? That's a good question. I actually don't know, but I still think they have a lot, quite a lot. Let me see. I have this page. Where's this page? Bitcoin Treasuries. 90 entities hold over 12% of the supply already. MicroStrategy is holding above 1% already, in case you guys didn't know. Yeah, Grayscale still holds. I don't know if this is updated or not, but it should be. Grayscale still holds 237,000 Bitcoin, 14 billion worth. And BlackRock is way ahead now at 344,000. Again, I don't know how accurate this is. But you can see Fidelity's up there too, 175,000 Bitcoins, over 10 billion. That's a whole lot. That's a whole lot. You got ARK up here with 2.7 billion, Bitwise with 2.3 billion. Canada's Purpose has 1.5 billion. Another one, CoinShares, has 1.2 billion. So it's not just in the US. You have a couple major ones in Canada, actually 3 of them, right? And you got others in here as well. And there's other countries that are adding. I mean, these ETFs are soaking up Bitcoin as if it was scarce, which it is. Let's see. Why is CRO pumping? I have no idea. Didn't hear anything about CRO. Crypto moves. How would you turn 60K into 300K this cycle? No memes. I mean, you could probably just do it with Bitcoin alone. really. Bitcoin has a chance to do that. But honestly, I would just buy mostly Bitcoin and throw in some good L1s like Solana in there, and then I think you're pretty much certain that that's gonna happen. Throw some L1s, like throw Solana in there, throw a little ton in there, a little Avalanche, and you're good. Two people have asked why CRO's up. No reason. Why does there need to be a reason? Even if there was a reason, you're already behind because it's already up 24%. You should have been buying before it jumped 24%. But yeah, I didn't hear anything about CRO. Ounce of gold or 1 ETH? That's an interesting question, but I would still go with 1 ETH. Actually, it wouldn't even be close. Why do I hate CRO? I don't. I just don't know enough about it. I don't really hear anything happen. I think Crypto.com is a good exchange. They have all their crypto credit cards and debit cards, which I think are useful. But as for the chain, I just don't hear enough about it. I don't really know what's going on. I never really hear any big stories about it, other than it was like hacked before. I don't know if it was hacked. So something was hacked. I don't know. Who's your favorite artist? I don't know. Are you talking about musician? I don't really have a favorite, to be honest. I just listen to a lot of songs I grew up with in the 90s and 2000s. Sui. A lot of people talking about Sui. Sui's up 27%. A lot of this, right? Sui did have, you can see right here, Grayscale launched a fund. But, a lot of these are little deceiving, right? Because 26% seems like a big jump, but it's about even to where it was a couple weeks ago. If you look at, actually it's still lower, July 22nd, it was up here, still not there yet, right? So it's good though. It's good to see like a good recovery, but I think a lot of these are still way, way off from their previous high. Sui isn't that bad, but they were above $2 back in March timeframe. Phil says alts are so far behind Bitcoin compared to last bull market. Phil, I'm willing to bet you are wrong on that. You just don't remember it because we are so ahead of the game, and I'll argue that alts are stronger this cycle than they have ever been. How do I prove that? I know there's historical snapshots. Okay, so let's go back. Let's just look at the last cycle was 2021, right? But the halving event happened in 2020. So 8-9. Let's look at 8-9 in 2020, where things were. Bitcoin, 11,600. Ethereum at 391. Cardano at 14 cents. A lot of these. Chainlink is still here at $13.85. Bitcoin Cash, no longer relevant. XRP still at 28 cents. So if you're looking at this, you are wrong. Because if you look at the market cap of these, way, way, way smaller than some of the top projects of today, right? Yields was a big project. CRO was top 11. Binance Coin and top 10. Litecoin has fallen out. Cardano is still here at number 8. Cardano at 14 cents. You know, Cosmos still here. VeChain in the top 18, top 20. Tron, you know, Stellar still here. Tezos. Both of these just dropped off crazily. So my point is, no. Last, in the same time, 4 years ago in 2020, things weren't looking very hot, and alts weren't looking very hot either versus Bitcoin. Just look at, okay, if you look at like the percentage difference, right? Like Bitcoin is right now around $60,000. So if you look at it, let's say 11,675 out of 60,000, you're talking about, it's about roughly 19.5%. So, but you look at ETH was at $391, and where's ETH right now? 2,600, 15%. Yeah, I don't know what that proves. But anyways, going back in time 4 years, what it proves is being in crypto is very rewarding. That is the most important thing, okay? Being in crypto is very, very, very rewarding. Doesn't matter if you're holding on Bitcoin or ETH, right? It's rewarding. It's up way more than double. It's like triple, quadruple, and many of the alts are up even more, right? That's the power of crypto. Most people just don't realize it. Charlie's asking about Doge. Just not a fan of Doge, man. I have nothing against it, but if I was going to put money into a meme, it wouldn't be in Doge. It'd be one of the newcomers. Free is saying, I'm looking for 6 to 10x on Shiba. Shiba has to do at least like a 6x just to get back to the previous high. Can it break through? Maybe. You Grow, I Grow says, I have a feeling we will be Ferrari bros soon. Congrats. Congrats. Let's see. MicroStrategy down a little bit today. Coinbase slightly down. Today's still not good for tech. Tech is still being oversold. I don't like it. Polygon. Yeah, not much to say about Polygon. It's just it lost a lot of momentum to the L2s. That's really it. And they're having problems scaling, and they're doing a conversion soon. So hopefully that solves some of their problems. But I think the L2s are just really eating at their lunch. That's the biggest issue. Alex Rodriguez, best used all-wheel drive car you could buy with 10K budget. 10K budget isn't a whole lot, man. But if you had to buy something, probably like, like a Forerunner or something like that, or older Rav4, something that won't break. RX 330, something like that. RX 300, RX 330. Those are super reliable. With 10K, something like that. David says it cost me 10,000 just to leave the house. Yeah, sometimes it feels that way. It's almost impossible to take a vacation for like less than 10K now, including flight and hotel and all the food and all the activities. Like every vacation seems like it's 10K. Um, it adds up. I don't want that. Best convertible car to buy around 50 to 70K. That's a good question. I've been thinking about like that. I've been thinking about getting a convertible car. I just don't know what's a good convertible car to get, to be honest. I think the Lexus LC500 convertible is a great car. It looks awesome. It sounds awesome, but it's like more like 100K range, a little bit more than that. So I don't know, 50 to 70. You can just get a Corvette. You get a Corvette for around that price, 70,000, and even if it's not a convertible, you could take the top off, and it feels that way. I think that'd be pretty cool. That's decently cheap. The new Mustang also is pretty nice. I do like the new Mustang a lot. Ochre, thinking about M4, RS5, Boxster GTS. At the moment, I have Z4. I've never driven a Z4. It looks interesting. Out of those, I don't know. I haven't driven any of those. M4, RS5, or Boxster. But I'm assuming you'll have the most fun with Porsche. I'm assuming. RAV4 is great until you hit a deer. I think that's with any car. Hey, We're getting a good pump. The George effect is in. Once again, 61,100. Looking pretty good. Man, XRP is still below 60 cents. It seems like 60 cents is such a huge resistance for XRP for some reason. Just can't break through. Dirksky, I already talked about Polygon. I'll show my most educational video at the end of the stream. I don't want to play it too often. Can you show the master of cock NFTs? It's still there. It's still there. You know, there's a time and place for shilling NFTs, and right now is not one of them. NFT market is just so bad. So bad. I don't know if the NFT market will ever pick up. Because all the momentum went into memes, meme coins, and now no one's talking about NFTs anymore. I feel bad for all the people that are still like trying to shill collections, and no one cares. No one cares. I don't even know. Like a Bored Apes floor price is probably pretty darn low right now. I really want to get a 911. I've heard so many good things about it, but I've never driven one, never had one. The problem is when you have a really nice car, first of all, it's 2 doors. You can't take really anyone. You can't take the family around. And second of all, you're always afraid that, you know, someone's going to key it or bang into it or whatever. You can't really drive it daily. It just takes more garage space. Thoughts on cock in you? I still support it. It's still the funniest meme coin out there. Have you heard of Illuvium and Zen? Yes, Illuvium. It's a Web3 game pending for a long time. I think they just recently released, but I have not checked it out yet, so can't really say. It's a good chart. Yeah, it's a good chart. I mean, getting a lift from my garage is not a problem. I could fit 5 cars in my garage right now, even without a lift. But the thing is, do I need 5 cars? And I can park cars outside too. It's like I have my Ferrari there, and I never drive it. It looks great when I walk past it, but I never drive it. So if I got a 911 GT3, it'll just be sitting next to the Ferrari, never driven. So that's the problem. If I'm gonna get another car, I need to get something that's more daily drivable, something that I'm not gonna worry about driving around, or I could park outside or something. Would you buy 86 Buick Grand National? At this point in time, no. In my 20s and early 30s, I really love that car, right? But at this point in time, no, I would not be driving a Grand National around. Civic Type R, I have not driven a new one yet, but I've driven the old one and I love the way it drives. I think it's a really good car it's a good car to daily drive. And it doesn't look so outrageous anymore. The new ones are toned down. What is the best way to find crypto connection groups that aren't like cults? I don't know. I've never tried looking. I think most crypto groups are cults because crypto people are very tribal. I don't know. Otherwise, just go to crypto conferences. All the ones I've been to so far, people have been super nice. No cult like behavior, unless you go to the Litecoin conference. And that's really it. I would suggest going to crypto conferences, although I know that costs a lot of money. But yeah, I haven't looked for local groups or anything like that. E92M3 V8 carbon roof, great car to take out. That I didn't have that. I had the E46M3, but E92M3 looked pretty darn good too. A lot more power, right? It was like 400 horsepower with that V8. That's nice. That's nice. I still remember my E46M3. That was a nice car. That was really nice. And all the coworkers, because I was just like in my 20s at some shitty job, and all the coworkers did not like that I was driving that car. George, what do you stop putting money into crypto this run? That's a hard question. Hard question because a lot of alts still have a lot of room to grow. So Bitcoin, I don't know. I can't tell you like, oh, okay, once Bitcoin hits 150, stop. I think we just have to read the. We gotta play it by ear, right? And kind of like read the situation as we're going higher. That's the only thing I could say. There's no way to say like, oh, you just stop putting money in February of 2025 or when Bitcoin hits 150,000. You just can't make that. You can't make that decision right now. My first car was a Dodge Colt Vista station wagon. And it was pretty good. It's not bad for a first car. Um, and then I had a Nissan Altima, and then I got a 95 Mustang GT, and that's when I really started liking cars, when I started messing with it and stuff. Can you link your car channel? It's in the description. Yeah, drivers only. It's in the description. I haven't been doing a lot of car videos recently, though. Richard asks, will there be a bear market in between this bull run and next bull market? I think there will be a correction, but will we have a 2-year bear market like previous cycles? I'm not so sure. Because with all the institutions that are now in the game, they're holding enormous amounts of Bitcoin. Are they all going to time it like retail investors say, okay, we're at top, we're just go dump everything? I don't think so. I think a lot of these institutions will not dump. When they get into it, they're going to hold for decades. So we may get a major correction. I mean, we just had a 32% correction, right? Who's to say we can't have a 50% correction or even a 60% or even 70% correction? But does that mean that we're going to stay low for like 2 years before recovering? I'm not so sure. We could have, like a really big correction and come right back up, or a lot of small corrections and then come back up. So I'm not sure we're going to have the same kind of crypto winter after this peak. Or maybe there is none. We just keep on going. Like maybe there's no large corrections at all. We just have these 20 and 30% corrections while we go sideways and continue upwards. You know? Yeah, my Dodge Colt Vista. In case you want to know. Yeah, it's like this. It was like this. It's I forgot what year it was, but it looked exactly like this. That's my very first car. It's still a good car. I didn't care about cars back then. I was just glad that my mom even got me a car. Driving this bad boy around in high school. And I went to a very rich high school where where I'm from, like all the rich kids would go to this high school. And I was like one of the poorest people at the high school. So at the time, everyone's like driving like Mercedes and Lexuses. And I'm like, what the hell, But I didn't care. When did he raise that call? No. No, I did not. Super Crypto. Mine was a Corolla 1.8 with EV 15-inch speakers. I went to that phase too in my college years. I don't know what it is. Like, I want to be cool with like all this you know, having all these amps and big subs and speakers in my car. I went through that phase too in my college years. I had a Nissan Pathfinder that was riding around then. I don't know. Maybe that was after college. I don't know. No, yeah, that was after college. I don't know why I went through that phase. It's kind of stupid. I'm not an audiophile. I don't really care about, having like crazy music in a car. Cheeto Fit. I know this cycle you're not a big ADA bull, but what do you think about Hydra, Hard Fork, Infinity Scalability? I mean, other chains already have it. Other chains already have the ability to have subchains or parachains or subnets. So it's not new, right? Will that change the game for Cardano? I don't know. Quite possibly if a lot of DApp makers want to utilize it. But right now, it's all theoretical, right? Is it really going to change things for Cardano? I'm not quite so sure. A 992 Turbo S is the best car ever made. I don't know. All the Porsche guys all lean towards GT3s. I used to be a big turbo guy. I've always said if I had money, I'll go buy 911 Turbo. But somehow something's changed. Like all the diehard guys are like, I'll just get a GT3 or GT3 RS, or if you can't afford to get a GT4, right? Like, I don't know what's changed. Like, I still think a 911 Turbo, would be a good car. Crypto Surge, yeah. Corolla GR is awesome. The Toyota GR is too small, but the Corolla GR is awesome. CRV or RAV4. At this point in time, just CRV. It's newer. It's newer and much bigger. The RAV4 is still kind of dated until they redesign it. Lazio says, I drive a 911 GT3 daily. I don't think I could do that. Would you put 200K in DOT or render, and why? I would definitely put in render because it's in the AI space. And DOT is in the L1 space that is super, super competitive. All right, guys. I guess that's enough card talk for today. Happy Friday. Bitcoin is holding pretty well above $60,000. Can we see a big surge this weekend? Quite possibly. We got a lot of crucial tests to face, but overall, Bitcoin is in a really good spot. Nothing has changed, and we got a lot to look forward to. That's really it. Really it. All right, smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and before you go, I do have an educational video for you guys, so check it out. It's the best video ever created in crypto.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.